All right, so today we're diving into this incredible ancient story from the Hindu text, the Durga Saptsati. Now, it's a classic tale of gods and demons for sure, but as you're about to see, it holds this surprisingly modern lesson about fighting those impossible battles. You know the kind, the ones that seem to get stronger the more you attack them. So let me just ask you this, right off the bat. How would you defeat an enemy that multiplies every single time you strike it? I mean, every successful hit doesn't weaken them at all. Instead, it just creates a perfect clone ready to fight. How in the world do you win a war like that?
That exact question is really at the heart of our story today, and to get to the answer, we first have to meet the antagonist, a truly, seemingly unbeatable foe.
So here's the setup. The great demon kings Shumba and Nishumba are absolutely furious after taking a huge loss in a previous battle, and in their rage they decide it's time to send in their ultimate weapon, their most fearsome champion.
And that champion's name is Rakta. Now, his name is a massive clue to what he's all about. In Sanskrit, Rakta means blood, and Bij means seed. So you put it together, blood seed. Definitely keep that name in your head.
See, Raktabij's real threat wasn't just that he was strong or a great fighter. No, he had this unique boon, this special power that was granted to him, and it made him pretty much invincible. The power was based on this terrifyingly simple rule. If even a single drop of his blood were to fall to the earth during a fight, an exact battle-ready clone of himself would just spring into existence right there on the spot. I mean, think about that. The very act of fighting him, of wounding him, just creates more of him. It's a perfect defense that turns your own strength completely against you.
So, as you can probably guess, this power leads to a pretty chaotic situation. We're talking about a battle of infinite demons where things spiral out of control, fast.
So the fight begins. You've got the divine forces, the goddesses, on one side, and on the other side, just one demon, the original Raktabij.
And the goddesses, well, they do exactly what you'd expect any warrior to do. They attack with everything they've got. We're talking celestial weapons, immense power, a full frontal assault.
And the result? It's an absolute catastrophe. From every single wound, every drop of blood that spills, a new Raktabij rises. That one enemy instantly becomes thousands.
Pretty soon, the entire battlefield is just swarming with identical demons. I mean, it is a completely hopeless situation. The harder they fight, the more enemies they create. Their effort isn't just pointless, it's actually making things worse. They're literally feeding the very problem they're trying to solve. Okay, so you're faced with an unwinnable war. What do? You need a totally new strategy, a complete shift in thinking. And this is where the story takes a turn, with Kali's genius solution. Kali's approach is just brilliant, because she doesn't try to fight harder, she changes the rules of the game entirely. She enters the battle, but instead of attacking Raktabij head-on, she stretches her enormous tongue out to cover the battlefield. Her goal is so simple, it's genius. She's going to catch and consume every single drop of his blood before it can hit the earth and create a new demon. By doing this, she cuts off the source of the multiplication. She stops the consequences of the attack. With no new clones being born, the original Raktabij is suddenly just a single demon again. And now, finally, he's vulnerable. He can actually be defeated. Now, it's a fantastic story on its own, right? But its real power, its real genius, is in the metaphor. So let's take a look at what this ancient battle really represents, the demon within us. Okay, so this is where it all clicks. Raktabij, the demon, he's a symbol for our unending desires, sometimes called vasanas. And each drop of his blood, that represents the moment we act on one of those desires. And what about the thousands of clones? Well, that's what happens, right? Acting on one craving almost never satisfies it. It just creates a dozen new ones. So in this metaphor, Kali and her solution, that represents the power of total awareness.
And this really gets to the core psychological insight here. Simply trying to fight a bad habit or just suppressing a desire often just makes it stronger. You know how it is. You try to quit one thing and suddenly you've got 5 new little habits that pop up to take its place. That's a cycle that just feeds itself.
So what's the big takeaway here? This story is all about the incredible importance of attacking the root cause, not just hacking away at the symptoms.
So the lesson here is pretty profound. Trying to brute force a problem, like the goddesses did at first, often just makes it worse. Those thousands of demon clones, they're just a symptom. The real problem, the root cause, is that single drop of blood hitting the ground. The only real solution is to deal with the issue at its origin. And just like Kali showed us, awareness is the tool that can stop that whole destructive cycle before it even gets started.
You see, Kali's solution wasn't about using more force. It was about using a different kind of intelligence. She represents the power of consciousness itself, that ability to just step back, observe how a problem actually works, and then intervene at the most critical point, the very beginning. It's all about being aware of that drop of blood before it ever hits the ground.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. We all have these multiplying problems in our lives, right? Habits or negative thought patterns that seem to get stronger the more we fight them. So the question to ask yourself is, what is the Raktabij in your life? And what would it look like to apply Kali's kind of awareness, to stop feeding it at the source, instead of endlessly fighting all its clones?